Hi everybody, I'm Jake. I'm one of the designers who worked on Civics and Chaos, and I'm here to teach you how to play Witch Hunt. So in Witch Hunt, the game centers around this board and collecting these tiles in an effort to convict the president of his crimes before the other player. Now how do we collect these tiles? Each round players will battle one another using these politics cards. So let's figure out how those work. Inside of the politics deck there are a few different types of cards. The first kind you'll see are plain old politics cards. They come in blue and in red. The blue are worth values from 1 to 5 in positive numbers, and the red are negative numbers from -1 to -4. There are 4 different suits that both of these politics cards share, and at the end of each round they are totaled up to determine the winner of the tile. Another type of card you'll see in the politics deck are going to be political heroes. Now these function in the same way as politics cards, but they're worth more votes and can be positive or negative depending on the user. And the last type of card in the politics deck are going to be your Congress cards. These determine the number of votes needed for the passing team to pass their bill at the end of the round. This will make a whole lot more sense in context in just a minute. The last type of card you need to know about are these trump cards. On the last turn of each round, one of these is flipped over, and if a politics card is played that matches the suit on the trump card, then his effect is triggered. Now, there's a risk that goes along with playing the trump suit, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. Alright, so we've got all our cards, we've got our tiles on our board. I think we're all ready to play a round of Witch Hunt. To get set up to play Witch Hunt, the first thing we need to do is look through the politics deck for the regular order Congress card. I've got mine conveniently on top here. This is going to establish the very right side of our play area, so we'll go ahead and set that over there. It's also going to establish the first number of votes needed to pass the bill in this round. This will probably change as more cards come up. We'll talk about that in a minute. The next thing is to shuffle this trump deck and set it face down right next to our Congress card. After that, we head back over to our politics deck, shuffle that up really well, just like this. Probably even a little bit better. And deal out cards to each of the players. For this example, we'll be doing a 2-player game where I'll deal 5 cards to each player. But if you're playing a 4-player game, go ahead and deal 4 cards to each player. Once those have been dealt out, we go ahead and establish the initial cards for each round, the House and the Senate. So we'll go ahead and put 1 card face down right here for the Senate and 1 card for the House. And then after that, we go ahead and rest our draw pile right next to that, and we're all set up to play. Alright, now that we've got the board set up, let's determine teams. To do that, we'll go ahead and flip the trump token to see who will play as the passing side and who will play as the blocking side for this first round. Alright, red. So I will be the blocking team to start on this side. At the beginning of each round, the passing team will select 1 tile that they'd like to play for. At this point, it doesn't really matter because there isn't anything on the board, and you can dock the tiles in any order you like, so pick whichever one you're feeling. For this, we'll just pick a dark red one, and we'll place it on the passer side of the Congress card just so we remember whose team is whose. Before we start our first turn, we should know that each round is made up of 3 turns, each indicated by the 3 cards here in the House, the Senate, and Trump. At the beginning of each turn, the blocking team will flip over 1 card to determine which suits can be played in this round. So since I'm the blocking team, I'm going to go ahead and flip over our card in the House. Alright, we've got a lawsuit here. Since this is a red politics card, this is going to be good for me as the blocking team because I'm trying to make sure that the passing team doesn't reach this number when the round ends. Now, I'll take my first turn. Let's take a look at what I've got in my hand. The first thing I see in my hand is that I've got some Congress cards in here. Let's take a look at those. As soon as you draw Congress cards, you must play them in the Congress card pile. If you're dealt Congress cards, you can play them in any order you like, but you need to play both of them immediately. And since I don't want to help my opponent out, I'm going to go ahead and put the higher number to reach above the lower number to reach and place that on the Congress card pile. Now the passing team needs to reach 13 votes to allow them to win. Since I only have 3 cards in my hand, I need to draw back up to 5 to make sure that I have the correct amount. Now I can start my turn. Each turn is made up of 3 parts: discard, play, and then draw. To start, I can discard up to 2 cards, or for a game of 4, up to 1 card, to help me better strategize with the cards that are on the table. I know I can only play in this suit right here, and I've actually got 1 card that works really well for that, but the rest aren't helping me so much right now. So I might want to discard some of those. How about some of these blue politics cards that are really only going to help my opponent and not me in this round? So I'm going to go ahead and discard those, scooch our board over a little bit to form the discard pile, and draw 2 more cards. Alright, now I'm on to the second stage of my turn, which is play. I can play as many cards as I want in 1 suit. So if we have all 3 suits up here later in the game, I can only play in 1 of them on any given turn. So for now, I've just got this 1 card I can play. I'm going to go ahead and play it right here on my side. And then I finish up my turn with the last step, which is draw. Draw back up to 5. And remember, on the last step, when you're drawing back up, if you receive a card that you could play, you're not allowed to play until your next turn. So we'll go ahead and end our turn there, and the passing team will take their turn. Alright, so let's take a look at their cards. Alright. So remember our 3 steps of our turn: discard, play, and draw. And right here I'm already seeing 2 cards that aren't going to be super beneficial to me right now. I want blue positive votes to get me to this number as the passing team. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of my negative votes and draw 2 more cards. And those are going to help me out quite a lot here. So now I'm in the second stage of my turn, which is play, and I can play as many cards in this suit as I'd like. So I'm going to go ahead and play all 3 of these. I'll put those on my side, the passing side of the stack. Great, but now I've only got these 2 cards. Remember, the last step is always to draw back up to your full hand. Oh, it looks like I've drawn a Congress card in my draw back up. Anytime you draw one of these, play it immediately and fill your hand back up. Oh, I drew another one. Go ahead and play that and draw back up. Alright, and now I end my turn as the passing team. Alright, so let's get a lay of the land. We've got 3 negative votes and 10 positive votes. So a net positive of 10 votes. But we've got a filibuster in Congress, which means that if the round were to end right now, the vote would be delayed and nobody would win this round. Now that we've finished our first turn for both the blocking team and the passing team, we'll start our second turn. And as I said before, each of the turns are marked by each of these cards. We flipped over the House, so let's flip over the Senate now as the blocking team to start this round. And we've got some positive votes headed toward the passing team. Not great for me as the blocking team, as now they're up to 14 and negative 3, that's 11 votes, but the filibuster's still in Congress. We're in all right shape. All right, I've got another suit that I can play now, which is good. I've got 1 card that I can play right now. And remember my 3 steps of my turn: discard up to 2 cards, replace those. Didn't help me out a whole lot. I still just have the 1 card, so I'm going to go ahead and play that and draw back up to my full hand and end my turn. Now we'll move on to the passing team. You getting the hang of it? Let's see, we've got our 2 suits that we can play, and not a lot going on in the hand. We still have some negative votes, and I might just take a lower vote card to discard in hopes that I can get something that might help me right now. Alright, nothing came out of that. We've got no cards we can play, and since we can't do anything, we'll just go ahead and end our turn as the passing team. Now we move on to our 3rd turn, which, as I said, starts by flipping over this trump card. So we'll flip that over, and here we can see the suit
and the effect.
And for the suit.
Stop it.
Okay, now that we've gotten to our last turn in our first round, let's take a closer look at the trump cards and what they do. So for Witch Hunt, we only pay attention to the suit and the effect just below. And there are 4 different effects that you'll encounter. Let's take a look at the first one. Take another turn. Now this is the only effect that you can trigger once per player per round. You couldn't go ahead and play multiple cards on this suit and continue taking turns. You can only take up to 1 extra turn per round. And like the name implies, you'd complete your turn playing the trump card suit, including drawing back up to your full hand, and then you'd start an extra turn going through the phases of discard, play, and draw. And your opponent can do the same if they also play in the trump suit. The next type of effect is Swap Congress card. Now this one can be triggered multiple times per player per round. And for every card you play on the trump suit, you'd move the bottom Congress card to the top of the stack. So say I play 2 cards in the trump suit, I would go ahead and take 2 Congress cards to the top of the stack. Now be careful, your opponent might do the same thing and switch up the order of those Congress cards. The 3rd effect is Add a Tile. Now this one can also be triggered multiple times per player per round, and for every card you play on the trump suit, you'd add another tile for the winner of the round to collect. So if we have 1 tile that our player has selected that they'd like to play for this round, and they play twice on Add a Tile, trump suit, they'd be able to add 2 tiles from anywhere. Let's say that these are my opponent's unclaimed tiles, and these are my unclaimed tiles, and these are the free tiles that have yet to be claimed. I could take 1 tile from my opponent that I know I might need, and 1 from the regular draw pile, and at the end of the round, if I win, I'd be able to collect all 3 of these and potentially win the game. The last effect that we can see here is Reveal Any Tile. This one can also be triggered multiple times per player per round. For every card you play on the trump suit, you'd flip over any tile so the suit is revealed, and the tile should remain face up for the remainder of the game. So say these are my opponent's unclaimed tiles, and I play the Reveal Any Tile suit, I could flip that over and potentially find the tile that I need to win the game, or at least narrow down the tile that I might need to win the game. The final most important thing you need to know about the trump cards is the risk involved in using them. If you play in the trump suit and you end up losing the round, your opponent gets to take 1 of your undocked tiles in addition to the tile from the round. Alternatively, if your opponent plays cards in the trump suit and loses the round, you get to choose 1 of their tiles that they haven't docked on the board. Are all of your tiles on the board, or you don't have any undocked tiles? Then you don't risk anything, and you can play the trump suit to your heart's content. Those are our trump cards and their effects. Now, let's get back to the action and finish up our first round.
In this case,
As I start my turn,
As a blocking team, I'll look at my cards and I can see I have 3 different suits I can play. But if I choose to play on trump suit, I will swap the Congress card from the bottom and pull it up to the top. And I'll do that for each card that I play in that suit. Now remember the 3 steps of our turn: discard, play, and draw. Do I want to discard? I think I'll discard 1 card this turn. And that doesn't help me a whole lot, but I still have my 2 cards that I can play, as well as a political hero, if I so like. So I'm going to go ahead and play these two. We'll draw back up to 5, make sure that we have our full hand, and then we see Trump's effect take place. We're going to go ahead and swap the Congress card once and twice, once for each card that's played in Trump's suit. Now this actually isn't great for me as the blocking team because now my opponent only needs 2 votes to pass the bill. Let's see what the passing team will do for their final turn. We can also play in Trump's suit, but that might not be the best decision as I'm set up pretty well to win this round already as the passing team. If I choose to discard cards, I might pull up a Congress card and it would change this number that's required. So there's a little give and take in terms of whether or not you want to rock the boat on any given turn. So let's do the math really quick. Right here we have 14, and we've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's positive 7 votes. So the passing team has the number required to win the round. And like I said, as opposed to pulling up cards and potentially changing this number, the passing team is going to go ahead and choose to not play at all because they have the number of required votes and they win the round. And they collect their tile. Watch out! Since the blocking team played on the Trump suit and lost the round, the passing team would be able to take one of their undocked tiles. But since they don't have any at this point, there's no risk. Yet. Beware. So let's take a look at that tile. We've got one of the 4 suits here. We're going to go ahead and dock that on the board for our passing team, and they're on their way to convicting the president. So now, to end our round, we need to clean up the board. So what we need to do is first take all of the Congress cards, except for the top, and put them in the discard pile. We'll also take all of the cards that have been played on the board, the House, the Senate, and all of our politics cards, and put those in the discard pile as well. Be sure not to mix in your hand, keep those separate, and we'll take those along with our draw pile and shuffle those together. This way, there's more variability in each round, more opportunity for any given team to win. We'll go ahead and set down the Senate and the House, as well as our draw pile. And don't forget to take your Trump card and place it underneath the pile so you're ready to flip over a new Trump card for this round. And we're all set up to play. Since I was the blocking team on this side last time, I get to play as the passing team. So I'm going to go ahead and select a dark blue tile because that feels good to me. And we'd go ahead and start the next round. And that's round of Witch Hunt. Keep playing rounds until one team collects all 5 tiles in one suit and convicts the president of his crimes. Thanks for watching our video on Witch Hunt. If you have any questions, please post them in the comments below or email them to questions@civicsinchaos.com. Be sure to be on the lookout for our next video on Drain the Swamp. And from everyone here at BLAMO, thanks for playing Civics in Chaos.